Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Harrington, and this is my week 3 assignment presentation to apply a problem defining tool for Homeland Security 6650 interdisciplinary approaches to Homeland Security. The topic I'm going to be addressing and sharing with you today is titled Sounding the Alarm on Fire Apparatus Crisis in the United States. And this is a particularly big problem inside of my industry right now that isn't widely known to a lot of people outside. And so I thought I would share it with you because it definitely has a nexus to emergency management and is going to be a problem for years to come if we don't get ahead of it now. So with that, I'll get into it a little bit. So in considering problem scoping frameworks and what would best fit my needs to investigate this problem, I found the 4Ws problem canvas to be the best fit, as my problem is somewhat intermediary in its nature, and there's kind of two sides and a victim in the middle of it all. But uh, there really, I felt that the 4Ws scoping framework really kind of captured the what and the why and the where and who. So I went with it. To give you a little bit of background before I start into what the problem is about, I wanted to share a little bit of information about what I mean by fire apparatus. So to my right here is various different fire apparatus. So we use the word apparatus as a blanket term to cover all types of response vehicles. And many of our response vehicles, because we're now a all hazards resource as a fire department, and most fire departments nationwide are, we require different vehicles to accomplish different tasks. And so that's why you hear names like fire truck, fire engine, ladder, but the apparatus is kind of the blanket term that is used to express the meaning for all of those. I tell people to think of it as a toolbox with wheels. That's really what the truck is. And depending on the need and what's happening, that is where we determine which toolbox we should bring to that problem. And so to get into my problem statement, the fire departments nationwide are feeling the strain from supply chain issues of fire apparatus. To add to this problem, thousands of frontline apparatus are currently out of service with no replacement parts available to repair them. This has created extremely dangerous conditions in which first responders do not have the tools that they need to protect the people that they serve. So this is a problem right now, and it's affecting people right now. Somewhere in the United States, there's a group of firefighters that have been relegated down to pickup trucks with their equipment to respond to the needs of the community that they're in charge of protecting. And they've been relegated down to that because there's no other option. And so that is why I'm going to talk about this problem and kind of investigate it a little bit. So the who of my problem and who the primary stakeholders would be were first the firefighters, and they are probably the primary and what I would say have the most to lose because firefighters will find a way. It might not be the prettiest way, but they're going to find a way. And so we want to ensure that we're giving them the ability and the resources and the tools and the equipment that they need so that those ways are safe for them and safe for our community members. The second stakeholder, obviously, is the community members that the firefighters are protecting. And so this problem has stimulated nationwide concern all the way to the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Subcommittee on Disaster Management, who is chaired by Senator Josh Hawley, representative from Missouri. And he has, in September, initiated a bipartisan investigation along with Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts and Jim Banks from Indiana to investigate what exactly is going on and why is this a widespread and nationwide complaint that fire departments from the East Coast to the West Coast are starting to feel the stress and the struggle of figuring out what exactly to do. So what exactly is the problem and how did we get there? Well, in 2018, a private equity group named the Rev Group bought up the vast majority of manufacturers of emergency apparatus nationwide, and now have between them and so there is Rev Group, which is a consolidation group of multiple different apparatus manufacturers. And then there's Pierce and Oshkosh, which is one entity in and of itself. It's two groups in one entity. And then Rosenbauer, between Rev Group, Oshkosh, Pierce, and Rosenbauer, that represents 80% of all manufacturing ability of fire apparatus and emergency vehicles in the United States currently. That did not used to be prior to 2018. Everything was separate, and there was no monopoly that could be identified. But now we are seeing a pretty significant monopoly in this industry, which has led to increased costs. So the International Association of Firefighters have been paying attention to this, and we have data that supports that pumper trucks and apparatus have doubled in price over the last decade, often reaching as much as $1 million for a standard fire engine and $2 million for a standard ladder truck, which is just an incredibly major and drastic change from where we used to be. Add to that supply chain issues, issues in sourcing parts, and contractual requirements to replace parts with OEM manufacturer specification parts. They have the market. So in trucks that are broken, we still need these manufacturers to allow us to use the parts, because no resource is going to void a warranty on a $2 million ladder truck. They'll let it set before they void the warranty because they can't afford it. And so that the sourcing of parts has become as much of a problem as being able to procure new equipment. Another problem is the product backlog. And what a backlog is basically those are the trucks that they're currently working on. And why this is a problem is that the Rev Group and Oshkosh have a very significant backlog of products right now. So Rev Group reported a $3.6 billion backlog in 2023, which grew to $4.2 billion the following year. Oshkosh reported a global backlog of $5.3 billion in 2024. And so that's massive. We know that they know what they're doing because, as quoted by Senator Hawley in the Senate hearing about this problem, a 2024 earnings call where Rev Group CEO Mark Skozinski praised the backlog for being favorably viewed by investors and offering significant value and increased opportunities for growth within their group. So they know exactly what they're doing, and they're making money hand over fist. And the people that they're making money over people's lives, because these apparatus, if we don't have them, we don't have the ability to help, and that is a major problem. And this is a national problem. So this map from ArcGIS represents every active fire station in the United States. Currently, there are 52,051 fire stations active in the United States, and each one of those has at least one apparatus. Most have more than 4 or 5 apparatus in each station, but each one of those has at least one. So imagine the whole nation is siloed down to depending on 4 manufacturers to support the entire nation's needs of fire apparatus. And all of these trucks are very specific in their nature. Like if you remember the picture I showed you of the different types, they're very specialized to their need. And so that means that the customization of those trucks are very specific. And what we have seen is the build time of what used to take a year to complete, from design to specification, working with the manufacturer, to procurement and delivery and implementation of that piece of equipment for a city, has moved from what used to take a year to 18 months max to now as long as 5 years and a $2 million bill that could move. And so like we could start a bid now, and then it could take 5 years. And then in 5 years, when the truck's ready, they're going to say, hey, it's also going to cost $500,000 more. And, they get away with that because of the way that the contracts are written. So moving to the why of this problem and why this needs to be solved. Well, Palisades of January of this year is a perfect example of why this needs to be solved. LA Fire has 183 fire trucks in the area that affected Palisades. Over 100 of those apparatus were out of service the day of that wildfire, due to repair needs or other maintenance problems. They were out of service. They only had 83 of their 183 truck fleet to try to get a knock on this fire. And we're putting people in situations that cannot be won. There is no reason why we should have fires in the scope of something of like the magnitude of the Great Chicago Fire in 2025. We have the tools, technology, equipment, and expertise to accomplish suppression. But if we are relegated to depending on these manufacturers that have raised the price and throttled the entire market, and have full control, we will all at some point feel the effect nationwide from this issue. And that's why I wanted to investigate it a little bit, because this has serious and far-reaching potential as far as how this is going to affect emergency management for the communities that we have dedicated to serving. And in the end, ultimately, this problem will cost somebody their life. This is a true life and death issue, if you will. It's so much more than Wall Street making money. And so I'm encouraged to see that the bipartisan group of Senate and congressional leaders really start to hone in and pay attention to our needs as firefighters. This is something that is somewhat rare. I've been in the industry for coming up on 20 years now, and this is the first time that I've seen something as notable as this be addressed on Capitol Hill. And so I'm encouraged by that. And I hope that we can return to pre-COVID, pre-pandemic levels of procurement and apparatus costs, because what is currently happening is unsustainable, it's dangerous, and it's going to kill people. So with that, thank you for looking at my presentation, and have a great night. We'll see ya.